Lily Tran was the kind of intern who never waited to be told what to do. Restless, curious, and underestimated, she jumped at the opportunity to follow a volunteer rescue team out to Broken Hill, hoping to build her first real byline with a local human interest feature. It wasn't supposed to be investigative, just photos, interviews, and a few heart-tugging stories of selfless bravery in the outback. But Broken Hill wasn't just a town of rust and red dust. It had a stillness that buzzed beneath the surface, as though the land itself was holding its breath. Lily carried a small recorder with her everywhere, picking up audio for background texture. One afternoon, as she sat in the shade outside the team's remote field base, scanning radio frequencies for ambience, her device crackled to life. A broken VHF signal, sharp, fleeting, pulsed through the static. At first it was unintelligible, but then a woman's voice, garbled and low, broke through. Still here, coordinates, please, don't forget me. She froze. The voice was raw with fear, unmistakably real. Rewinding, she played it back. It repeated in broken intervals, like a ghost caught in a loop. Her pulse quickened. She shared the clip with the rescue team, expecting urgency. Instead, they waved it off. One of the older members chuckled dryly, calling it a weather ghost, a VHF anomaly that sometimes bounced signals from years ago. Just interference, he said. But something in Lily said otherwise. Later that night, over a pint at the local pub, she asked the bartender if anyone had ever gone missing out here. He leaned in, voice low. Plenty, he said. But there's one name that still sits wrong with folks. Elaine Wren. Vanished 9 years ago. Young, pretty. Some thought she ran. Others said she got lost in the scrub. No one ever found her. Back at her accommodation, Lily pulled up what few records she could on her cracked laptop. Elaine Wren, 28. Environmental consultant. Last seen on a solo hike near the ridge southwest of town. Coordinates listed in the search file matched almost exactly with the garbled ones from the VHF signal. That wasn't a weather ghost. The next morning, Lily played the audio for a local radio operator. An old man with more years in the outback than most had in the city. He listened quietly, expression unreadable. Then he said, simply, "Some voices out here don't fade, they wait." She walked back into the sun, recorder clutched tight, the red earth crunching beneath her boots. What started as a profile piece had just become something else entirely. The voice on the radio hadn't been archived. It had been heard. Lily Tran had come to Broken Hill chasing a story about heroes. Now she was chasing a ghost. And she had no idea who or what was about to chase her back. Lily didn't tell anyone where she was going. The coordinates she had pulled from the recording kept replaying in her head like a drumbeat. 31.958, 141.453. Early that morning, with her backpack weighed down by water, a camera, and her recorder, she slipped away from the rescue team's camp. The scrub was harsh, hot, brittle, buzzing with unseen life. Hours passed. Her boots filled with red dust, sweat trickled down her spine. But finally, she found it, a collapsed trail leading to a forgotten opal shaft, the entrance half choked by brush and time. Near the shaft's edge, something glinted beneath the sand. She brushed it away with trembling fingers, a half-melted voice recorder, warped by the sun. Nearby, a broken camera lay hidden under a rusted tin sheet. She tucked them both into her pack and backed away slowly, heart pounding. That evening, she returned to town, hands blistered, body aching. She plugged the memory card into her laptop, praying for data. What she found was fragmented. The video flickered, distorted by heat or damage, but one thing was clear. The footage showed a woman running, panting hard, turning the camera briefly on her terrified face. Elaine. Just before the footage cut, a male voice shouted something indecipherable. Lily barely slept. Her mind was a storm of speculation and fear. When she showed the footage to the team's medic the next morning, Dean, a middle-aged volunteer who had once been part of the original search for Elaine, his face went pale. "Where did you find this?" he whispered. That night, Dean vanished. The next day, the town claimed it was a coincidence. Dean's car had been found abandoned outside the national park, keys still in the ignition. Search parties went out, but no trace of him remained. Lily's gut told her it wasn't an accident. She reviewed the original rescue logs. Dean had been part of the first team to go out 9 years ago. So had two others, one of whom had died months earlier in a strange house fire. The other, a ranger named Blake, had been in a car accident a year ago. Brakes failed. Fatal. Suddenly, the past was folding in on itself. In her motel room, Lily pinned up names, dates, photos, a crude map of Broken Hill and its ghost trails. One by one, the original search party members were disappearing. It wasn't random. Someone was covering something up. She replayed Elaine's voice from the recorder. Each time, it felt more urgent. Please, don't forget me. The next morning, she went back to the shaft. This time, she noticed the claw marks on the metal, the dried blood on the stone nearby. The silence of the place wasn't peaceful, it was watchful. Lily took a deep breath, pulled out her camera and hit record. This is Lily Tran, reporting from the Broken Hill opal fields. If you're seeing this, I think someone is trying to erase what really happened to Elaine Wren. And they may not stop at her. Broken Hill didn't like questions. Lily learned that quickly. She stayed longer than expected, swapping her return ticket for another week in a room with a broken fan and walls that seemed to listen. Each morning she walked into town, stopping at the local archives and poking around the dusty shelves of the public library. Elaine Wren's case had barely a folder to its name, a missing poster, a few old newspaper clippings, a brief line in the local police blotter, search suspended indefinitely, no evidence of foul play. But Elaine hadn't just disappeared. Lily could feel it in her bones. She interviewed locals, most of whom gave half answers and tightened lips. Everyone remembered Elaine, but not quite the same way. To one, she was kind and curious. To another, distant and troubled. Some didn't remember her at all. Funny thing, memory, one shopkeeper said, gets dusty, just like everything else out here. That week, another man vanished. This time it was Mark Holloway, a retired EMT. He'd spoken to Lily briefly outside a bakery, mentioned that he once helped with the original rescue effort. The next day, his house was empty. His dog was still in the yard. Lily's hands trembled as she added his name to the map on her motel wall. That made 4. All part of the 2014 search for Elaine. She received an envelope under her door that night. Inside was a faded map of the opal fields, marked with red ink. 3 circles. One labeled Echo Pit, no note, no return address. The next morning, she brought the map to a retired mining supervisor she'd met earlier in the week. He looked at the paper, then at her, his face suddenly pale. That shaft was closed in 1992, he said. Bad ground. They sealed it. But someone reopened it, Lily said. He hesitated. People around here know not to ask what's under old ground. We just let it rest. That evening, her motel room was broken into. Nothing taken, nothing moved, except her recorder. Gone. She hadn't told anyone she had it. The next day, she visited Elaine's mother. A gaunt woman with thin hair and worn hands, she lived on the edge of town in a faded weatherboard house. Elaine isn't dead, she said softly. She's just buried wrong. Not in the ground, in truth. They made sure of that. Lily pressed her. Who was they? The mother only shook her head. You're hearing her because she never stopped speaking. Outside, the wind kicked up dust as Lily sat in her car, heart racing. Her phone vibrated an anonymous message. Leave it alone. Before someone else disappears. She didn't reply. That night, she reviewed the security footage from the library. The same man twice. Sitting at the edge of the room, watching her. She circled his blurry face on a screenshot, printed it, pinned it above the word Echo Pit. This wasn't about a missing woman anymore. It was about the people who made her vanish. The outback was colder than expected at dawn. Lily stood at the edge of the map's final red circle, breath visible, fingers trembling around the flashlight. Echo Pit was just as the name implied, a mouth in the earth, jagged and silent, nestled between forgotten ridges. The entrance had been crudely concealed with corrugated metal and rocks, but someone had disturbed it recently. She pulled the sheet aside, heart thudding. The air that rose from the pit was stale, metallic, thick with something unspoken. She climbed down slowly, scraping her palms each step deeper into the dark. The narrow shaft opened into a cavern. Abandoned mining gear, rusted ladders, and collapsed beams littered the space. But it wasn't entirely dead. Something had been here, recently. Carvings lined the stone, scratches that formed words, loops, symbols. One phrase was repeated over and over. They lied. They left me. In the far corner, she found a battered lockbox. Inside, a stack of water-warped notebooks, audio tapes, newspaper clippings, and a moldy folder labeled EW. Elaine Wren's initials. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Pages of notes. Elaine's handwriting, erratic and fast. She'd been documenting something: complaints about environmental violations, maps of mine runoff, dates and figures tied to missing site inspections. Elaine hadn't just disappeared. She'd been silenced. In the corner, she saw the emergency VHF transmitter, its battery jury-rigged, its cables looped to a makeshift repeater. Elaine had tried to send a signal, to leave her voice behind. The loop was no accident. It was a cry for help, built to outlive her. Then Lily heard it. Footsteps. Not hers. She killed her flashlight and held her breath. Something or someone moved above. Dust rained down. Pebbles bounced. A silhouette crossed the mouth of the pit. Lily's pulse pounded in her ears. Slowly she backed into the far wall, pulling out her phone. No signal. The figure above lingered, then left. She climbed out an hour later, breath shallow, light nearly gone. At the top, nothing waited but her guide's truck was gone. Blood streaked the gravel nearby. She found a GPS tracker discarded in the dust, still blinking red. Back in town, Lily uploaded the footage to 3 cloud drives. She scanned the clippings and voice notes. Then she wrote names, dates, a sequence. It all pointed to a massive cover-up, an illegal operation in the mines that Elaine tried to expose. When the company caught wind, she vanished. So did the records. The rescue mission was a lie. Lily sent the package to a contact at a national newsroom. That night, a window in her motel shattered. No one entered. No one was caught. She left Broken Hill the next morning. But she didn't leave empty-handed. In her bag was the last tape Elaine recorded, the one marked, "Final proof. If you hear this, I didn't make it." And in the distance, the pit sat still, listening, waiting for the next voice to fall in. The train out of Broken Hill rattled like old bones. Lily sat alone by the window, the outback stretching endlessly beyond the glass. Her bag rested on her lap, arms wrapped tight around it, not for protection, but preservation. Inside was the truth. She had risked everything to find it. She wasn't about to let it vanish now. 2 hours into the journey, she pulled out her laptop and connected to a patchy signal. The files: photos from the pit, footage of the looped VHF rig, copies of Elaine's notebooks. The final tape were ready. She uploaded them all to a cloud archive, then drafted the report. Not for her local paper. Not anymore. She submitted it directly to a national investigative outlet with the subject line: "Urgent, mining cover-up, Broken Hill, attached evidence." It went live within 24 hours. The article exploded. Twitter, Reddit, podcast. Within 2 days, the Broken Hill story was trending. Headlines blazed: "Ghost signal, solves cold case. Missing woman's last words, lead to corporate scandal. Intern reporter exposes outback secrets." The VHF recording was played on radio stations nationwide. Elaine's final message: "If you're hearing this, it means someone didn't let me be forgotten. Thank you." Authorities opened a formal investigation. The mining company, caught flat-footed, denied involvement. But internal whistleblowers came forward. Documents were unearthed. 3 former executives fled the country. A recovery team was dispatched to Echo Pit. Elaine's remains were confirmed through DNA a week later. Broken Hill didn't speak much, but it watched. From motel clerks to old rescue crew members, they all knew what had been buried and what had been uncovered. Lily was offered a contract, more stories, bigger reach, but she declined. She needed time. She returned to Sydney, cleared out her desk at the paper, and handed in her internship badge. No goodbye, no regrets. 2 weeks later, she stood in front of a quiet grave. The plaque read, Elaine Wren, 1986-2014, finally heard. Lily left behind the broken recorder, resting it in the soil beside a bouquet of desert wildflowers. You were never just a ghost, she whispered. You were the story. As she walked away, her phone buzzed, a new message. VHF signal log unregistered, Alice Springs, female voice, 12 seconds. She paused, then smiled. The desert never runs out of silence, or voices waiting to be found. Lily Tran had come to Broken Hill for a story. She left with a legacy. And the outback, quiet as it was, kept calling. In the final scene, a new recorder clicks on. Somewhere in the red dust, static breaks and a voice whispers, I remember.